My name is Kylie Chen, 29 years old, and I used to believe that love meant having someone in your corner. Someone who'd cheer for your wins and catch you when you stumbled. I was wrong. Love, I learned, can also mean standing next to someone who's been secretly hoping you'd fall all along. It just took one deleted file and 48 hours of unraveling lies for me to see it clearly. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. It started on a Tuesday morning that should have been the beginning of everything I'd worked for. I was 3 years deep into a mid-level marketing role at a decent firm in Denver, drowning in projects that never quite got me noticed. Then the email came. Subject line, interview opportunity, senior brand strategist, Apex Digital. My hands shook as I read it. This wasn't just a promotion. This was the kind of role people spent a decade chasing. 6 figures. Creative control. A team of my own. They wanted to see me Thursday at 10 in the morning. 2 days to prepare. 2 days to build the presentation that would change my life. I lived with my boyfriend, Josh Carter, in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment in Capitol Hill. We'd been together for 4 years, the kind of relationship that looked perfect in photos but felt suffocating in practice. Josh worked in sales, or at least that's what he told people. The truth was messier. He'd been between jobs for 8 months, claiming he was waiting for the right opportunity, the kind that matched his potential. I paid rent. I bought groceries. I smiled when his friends came over and acted like we were equals. That Tuesday night, I told him about the interview while chopping vegetables for dinner. His response was slow, measured. "That's great, babe. Really great." He didn't look up from his phone. I paused, knife hovering over a bell pepper. "You don't sound excited." "I am. It's just, big jobs come with big expectations." "You sure you're ready for that kind of pressure?" I stared at him. "I've been ready for 3 years." He shrugged, finally meeting my eyes. "I'm just saying, don't get your hopes up too high. You know how competitive these things are." Something in his tone felt off, but I ignored it. I had work to do. For the next 2 days, I lived inside that presentation. 20 slides mapping out a complete rebrand strategy for a fictional company, market analysis, consumer psychology, projected ROI. I researched until my eyes burned. I rehearsed in front of the bathroom mirror until the words felt like breathing. Josh watched from the couch, occasionally glancing over. "You're overthinking it," he'd say. "Just wing it. That's what confident people do." But I wasn't winging anything. This was my shot, and I was taking it seriously. Thursday morning arrived with the kind of clarity that makes everything feel significant. I showered, dressed in my best blazer, the navy one I'd saved for months to buy, and sat down at my laptop to do one final review. The interview was at 10. It was 8:15. Plenty of time. I opened my laptop. The presentation file was gone. Not minimized. Not buried in another folder. Gone. My stomach dropped. I searched every directory, checked the trash, scanned my cloud backup. Nothing. Then I saw Josh standing in the doorway, coffee mug in hand, face carefully blank. "Hey, babe. You almost ready? Where's my presentation?" "What?" "My presentation. The one I've been working on for 2 days. It's gone." He stepped closer, concern flooding his features a little too perfectly. "Gone? How?" "I don't know. Did you use my laptop this morning?" He hesitated for half a second. "I mean, yeah. I checked my email real quick while you were in the shower." "Why? Did you open any files?" "No. I might have clicked something by accident." I was half asleep. My pulse hammered in my ears. "What did you click?" He set down his mug, sighing like I was overreacting. "I don't know, Kylie. Maybe I hit delete on something." I didn't think it was important. You didn't think it was important? I stood up, my voice shaking. That presentation was everything. The interview is in less than 2 hours. He raised his hands defensively. Okay. Don't freak out. Can't you just remake it? Remake it? Josh, it took me 2 days. I don't have 2 hours. He stepped back, his expression shifting from concern to something colder. Well, maybe this is a sign. A sign? That you're not ready. I mean, if one little setback destroys you, how are you going to handle a high-pressure job like that? I stared at him, really stared, and for the first time in 4 years, I saw him clearly. Not the man I'd loved. Not the partner I'd believed in. Just someone small and threatened, standing in my kitchen, watching my dream die with something that looked an awful lot like satisfaction. That's when I stopped panicking. That's when I started planning. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now, back to the story. Pink_heart, click to react, fire, click to react, laughing, click to react, add reaction, edit forward more October 2, 2025. I called the company from my car, parked 2 blocks away from our apartment because I couldn't stand to be in the same room as him. My voice was steady when the receptionist answered, professional and apologetic. I explained there'd been a technical emergency, asked if we could reschedule for tomorrow, same time. The woman on the other end paused, then said she'd check with the panel. 3 minutes later, she called back. Friday at 10. One more chance. I drove to a coffee shop downtown, ordered the largest cup they had, and opened my laptop. My hands were still shaking, but my mind was clear. I had 24 hours to rebuild everything, but more importantly, I had 24 hours to figure out what Josh had really done. Because the more I thought about it, the less accidental it seemed. He'd been on my laptop before. He knew how to navigate files. He knew where I kept my work. And he'd waited until the exact moment when I couldn't recover, when panic would swallow preparation whole. I started with the basics. My laptop had an automatic backup system that saved versions every hour. I pulled up the recovery log. There it was. 8:07 this morning. File deleted. Not corrupted. Not lost in a crash. Manually deleted. Then moved to trash. Then trash emptied. That wasn't an accident. That was deliberate. I took a screenshot, saved it to 3 different places, and kept digging. Over the next 6 hours, I rebuilt the presentation from memory, notes, and sheer determination. It wasn't identical to the original, but it was close enough. Maybe even better because this time, I wasn't second-guessing every slide. I was fueled by something sharper than ambition. I was fueled by clarity. By 9 that night, it was finished. I saved it to my cloud, my external drive, and emailed it to myself twice. Then I drove home. Josh was on the couch watching television, a beer in hand, looking relaxed. He glanced up when I walked in. Hey. How'd it go? I rescheduled. He blinked. Oh. Good thinking. You get it done? I nodded, setting my bag down slowly. I did. Rebuilt the whole thing. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. That's my girl. Always resourceful. I studied him for a moment, then sat in the chair across from him. Josh, can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you really delete my presentation? His face went blank, then he laughed. What are you talking about? I told you, it was an accident. I pulled out my phone, showed him the screenshot of the recovery log. Accidents don't empty the trash. He stared at the screen, his jaw tightening. You're really going to accuse me of sabotaging you? I'm asking you to tell me the truth. He stood up, pacing now. This is insane. You're stressed, you're paranoid. I made a mistake, and now you're turning it into some conspiracy. I didn't move. You've been weird about this job since I told you. Every time I practiced, you told me to stop overthinking. Every time I got excited, you reminded me how competitive it was. And this morning, you just happened to delete the one thing I needed most. He stopped pacing, his voice rising. You know what? Maybe I did delete it. Maybe I thought you were obsessing too much. Maybe I thought it would help you relax, stop putting so much pressure on yourself. So you admit it. His eyes flashed. I was trying to help you. You've been a nightmare to live with for 2 days. Everything's about this stupid interview. What about me? What about us? I stood up slowly, my voice quiet. What about us, Josh? You haven't worked in 8 months. I've paid for everything. I've supported you while you figured things out. And the one time I get a chance to move forward, you sabotage me because it makes you feel small. He pointed at me, his face red. Don't you dare. You think you're so much better than me. You think this job is going to change everything. Newsflash, Kylie. You're not that special. I felt something inside me go very still. You're right. This job won't change everything. But it'll change one thing. It'll get me out of here. He stared at me, breathing hard. Then he laughed, bitter and sharp. Good luck with that. You won't get it. You never do. You're good at trying, babe. Not at winning. I turned and walked into the bedroom, locked the door, and sat on the edge of the bed. My phone buzzed. A text from my best friend, Maya. She'd been checking in all day. How's the presentation coming? I typed back. It's done. But I think I just ended my relationship. Her response was immediate. Good. He's been dragging you down for years. Come stay with me tonight. I packed a bag, unlocked the door, and walked past Josh without a word. He called after me, voice softer now, almost pleading. Kylie, come on. Don't be dramatic. I didn't even turn around. I stayed at Maya's apartment that night, a studio in 5 Points with exposed brick and plants hanging everywhere. She poured me wine and let me vent for an hour straight. When I finally finished, she looked at me with this expression I'd never seen before, something between sadness and relief. Kylie, I need to tell you something. I've been waiting for you to see this for 2 years. I set down my glass. See what? That Josh is threatened by you. That he's been holding you back since the day you got promoted above entry level and he didn't. Remember when you were applying for that project lead position last year? I nodded. You pulled out of the running. You said it wasn't the right time. She leaned forward. Do you remember why you said that? I frowned, thinking back. Josh had been going through a rough patch. He'd just lost that account he was counting on. He needed support. Maya's eyes were steady on mine. He needed you to stay small. And you did. Because that's what you always do. You make yourself smaller so he can feel bigger. Her words hit like cold water. I wanted to argue, but I couldn't. Every job opportunity I'd hesitated on. Every accomplishment I'd downplayed. Every time I'd celebrated quietly because his mood couldn't handle my joy. It wasn't love. It was management. I'd been managing his ego for 4 years. The interview is tomorrow at 10, I said finally. I know, she replied. And you're going to walk in there and destroy it. Then you're going to figure out what comes next. I smiled, exhausted. What if I don't get it? Then you'll get the next one. But first, you need to stop letting him live in your head. That night I barely slept, but when I didn't dream about the interview. I dreamed about the recovery log, that screenshot of the deleted file. Something Maya said kept circling back. He's been holding you back for 2 years. I sat up in the dark, grabbed my laptop, and started searching. My email archive, old files, past projects. I found the first piece an hour later. 18 months ago, I'd been shortlisted for a regional manager role. I'd prepared for weeks, then pulled out at the last minute. I remembered telling myself it wasn't the right fit. But I found an email I'd forgotten about. From Josh. Subject line, just checking in. Inside, he'd written, I know you're excited about this manager thing, but are you sure you're ready? Leadership is brutal. You've seen how stressed I get when I'm managing accounts. Maybe wait until you've got more experience. I don't want you to crash and burn. I stared at the screen. Then I kept searching. 6 months before that, a colleague had recommended me for a cross-functional team designing a national campaign. I'd declined. I found the text thread with Josh from that week. He'd written, another extra project? When are we supposed to spend time together? Feels like your job matters more than us. I'd apologized. I'd turned it down. The pattern was everywhere. Every opportunity came with his concern, his caution, his carefully worded discouragement. And every time, I'd believed he was protecting me. But he wasn't. He was protecting himself from the version of me that didn't need him. Friday morning arrived with sharp autumn sunlight cutting through Maya's curtains. I showered, dressed in the navy blazer, and checked my presentation one final time. It was perfect. Better than perfect. It was proof that I could rebuild anything, even under pressure. Maya handed me coffee and a bagel. You look like someone who's about to take over the world. I feel like someone who just woke up. She grinned. Same thing. I arrived at Apex Digital's office with 20 minutes to spare. The building was all glass and steel, modern and intimidating in the way that serious companies are. I checked in at the reception desk, and a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and a kind smile greeted me. Kylie Chen. I'm Rachel Winters, Creative Director. Ready? I nodded. Absolutely. The conference room had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown Denver. 3 people sat around the table. Rachel, a man in his 50s introduced as David Park the CMO, and a younger woman named Jennifer Ruiz, the brand lead I'd potentially be working with. They were warm but professional, the kind of panel that had seen 1,000 pitches and could spot desperation from a mile away. I wasn't desperate. I was ready. I opened my laptop, connected to the projector, and launched the presentation. For the next 30 minutes, I walked them through a complete rebrand strategy. Market segmentation. Competitor analysis. A creative concept built around authenticity and human connection. I wasn't reciting. I was teaching. When I finished, the room was silent for 3 long seconds. Then David leaned back and smiled. That was exceptional. Rachel nodded. You've clearly thought about this from every angle. How did you prepare? I almost said 2 days. Then I remembered the truth. 3 years. I've been preparing for 3 years. Everything I've learned in my current role led to this. Jennifer grinned. I love that answer. We'll be in touch early next week. I walked out of that building feeling lighter than I had in months. Not because I'd nailed it, though I had. But because for the first time in years, I'd shown up as the fullest version of myself. No apologies. No shrinking. Just competence and confidence. My phone buzzed as I reached my car. A text from Josh. Can we talk? I need to explain. I stared at the message, then deleted it. There was nothing left to explain. He'd shown me exactly who he was. Now it was time to show him what I'd been gathering while he thought I was just hurt and distracted. Because I wasn't done. Not even close. The call came on Monday afternoon while I was reorganizing files at Maya's place. I'd taken the day off, told my current boss I had a medical appointment. The number wasn't saved in my phone, but I recognized the area code. My hand trembled slightly as I answered. This is Kylie. Kylie, it's Rachel Winters from Apex Digital. I sat down on the edge of Maya's couch. Hi Rachel. I wanted to reach out personally. The team was unanimous. We'd like to offer you the senior brand strategist position. The salary is $92,000, full benefits, and you'd start 3 weeks from today if that works for your transition timeline. I couldn't breathe for a moment. When I finally spoke, my voice came out steady and clear. That works perfectly. Thank you. She laughed warmly. Thank you. We're excited to have someone with your vision on the team. Jennifer's already planning your onboarding. We hung up, and I sat there in complete silence. Then I called Maya at work, and she screamed so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. I knew it. I knew you'd get it. Celebration drinks tonight. My treat. But first, I said slowly, I need to do something. What? I need to go back to the apartment. Maya's tone shifted immediately. You want me to come with you? No. I need to do this alone. I drove back to Capitol Hill with the kind of calm that only comes from knowing exactly what you're about to do. Josh's car was in the parking lot. He was home. I'd been counting on that. I unlocked the door and found him at the kitchen table, laptop open, looking like he'd been waiting. He stood up the moment he saw me. Kylie. Thank God. We need to talk. I set my bag down, crossed my arms. I'm listening. He ran a hand through his hair, the gesture I used to find endearing. I messed up. I know that. I was scared, okay? Scared you'd get this fancy job and realize you didn't need me anymore. So you sabotaged me. He flinched at the word but didn't deny it. I panicked. I thought if you didn't get the interview, you'd stay focused on us. On building what we have here. I looked around the apartment we'd shared for 2 years. The furniture I'd bought. The dishes I'd washed. The rent I'd paid. What exactly have we been building, Josh? He stepped closer. A life. A partnership. I stared at him. A partnership means equal contribution. You haven't worked in 8 months. I've covered everything while you figured yourself out. And the moment I get a chance to move forward, you try to destroy it. That's not partnership. That's control. His jaw tightened. I said I was sorry. Sorry isn't enough. He threw his hands up. Then what do you want from me? I want you to hear what I'm about to say and understand that I mean every word. I got the job. His face went pale. You what? I got the job. $92,000 a year. I start in 3 weeks. And I'm moving out. The silence that followed felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. Then he laughed, sharp and bitter. With what money? You can't afford your own place. I've been looking. Maya's helping me. I'll find something. His expression shifted from shock to anger. You're really going to throw away 4 years because of one mistake? One mistake? I pulled out my phone, opened the folder I'd been building. Let me show you something. I turned the screen toward him. This is the email you sent me 18 months ago, talking me out of applying for regional manager. Here's the text where you guilt-tripped me into turning down the national campaign project. And this, I swiped to the next screenshot, is the recovery log showing you deliberately deleted my presentation and emptied the trash. Not an accident. Deliberate. His face cycled through emotions, denial, anger, something that might have been shame. You've been collecting evidence? Like I'm some kind of criminal? I've been paying attention. There's a difference. He sat down heavily. So what now? You're going to blast me on social media? Tell everyone I'm a terrible person? I shook my head. I'm not interested in humiliating you, Josh. I just want you to understand why I'm leaving. Because you didn't delete a file. You deleted my confidence. You've been doing it for years, and I let you because I thought love meant making space for someone else's insecurity. But it doesn't. Love means celebrating each other's growth, not sabotaging it. He looked up at me, and for a second I saw something real in his eyes. Regret maybe. Or just the realization that he'd lost. I never meant to hurt you. I know. You just meant to keep me small. There's a difference, but the result is the same. I grabbed my laptop bag and the box of personal items I'd packed the night before. I'll be back this weekend for the rest of my things. You can keep the furniture. I paid for it, but I don't want anything here that reminds me of who I had to be to make you comfortable. Kylie, please. We can fix this. I can change. I paused at the door, looking back at him one last time. Maybe you can. But you'll have to do it without me. I walked out into the afternoon sun, and the door clicked shut behind me with a finality that felt like freedom. My phone buzzed immediately. A text from my current boss. Heard through the grapevine you're leaving us. Congratulations on Apex. You deserve it. Then another from Jennifer at Apex. Welcome to the team officially. Can't wait to work with you. And one more from Maya. I found 3 apartments in your price range. Want to look this weekend? I sat in my car for a moment, staring at the building I'd called home for 2 years. It had never really been home. It had been a holding pattern. A place where I'd convinced myself that smaller dreams were safer. But I was done with safe. I was done with small. I started the engine and drove toward whatever came next, knowing that for the first time in 4 years, I was driving alone and that was exactly how it should be. 3 months later, I sat in my new office at Apex Digital, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Denver skyline, and realized I'd stopped checking my phone every 5 minutes. Josh had texted sporadically for the first month, apologies that turned to anger that eventually faded into silence. I never responded. There was nothing left to say. Maya helped me find a 1-bedroom in Washington Park, small but mine. I bought a desk, a coffee maker, and plants I actually remembered to water. My team at Apex was brilliant, challenging me in ways that felt like growth instead of criticism. Jennifer became more than a colleague. She became a friend who understood ambition without apology. One Saturday morning, I ran into Josh at a coffee shop near our old apartment. He looked tired, smaller somehow. He nodded awkwardly. Hey. Heard you're doing well. I am, I said simply. He shifted his weight. I've been thinking about what you said. About keeping you small. You were right. I'm sorry. I studied him for a moment. I appreciate that. He smiled sadly. For what it's worth, I'm seeing a therapist now. Trying to figure out why I do that. Sabotage good things. That's good, Josh. I mean it. He nodded. You look happy. I am. And that was the truth. Last week, Rachel promoted me to lead a new division. When I told my parents over video call, my mom cried. My dad said he always knew I had it in me. I wanted to tell them it was always there. I'd just been too busy making room for someone else's fear to claim it. I thought about that deleted presentation sometimes. How one act of sabotage had actually been the greatest gift. It forced me to see clearly, to stop making excuses, to rebuild not just a presentation but my entire understanding of what I deserved. Josh taught me something valuable after all. He showed me that the biggest betrayal isn't someone trying to hold you back. It's believing them when they tell you that you should stay where you are. I wasn't staying anymore. I was rising, and this time, the only person who could stop me was me. And I had no intention of getting in my own way ever again. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.